Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome back to Dickin' Around Outdoors. Today, we're going camping and we've got a cool new toy to play with. So come along, let me tell you what it is. Today, I am excited. Snow Peak reached out and asked if I would like to test a tent. And initially, as much as I love Snow Peak products, I hesitated because I was weighing Snow Peak tent versus another tent. But I looked at the sort of tent offerings that they had, and one of them really caught my eye. It's called the Alpha Breeze, and it says it's designed for the American camper. Now, I'm not sure what that means, but I think I have an idea. And I thought, you know what? That is like a tent that I don't have. Nothing I have is anything like that. So I think I would like to try that tent. So today we're going to set up the Alpha Breeze. We're going to sleep in it tonight, see what we think of it, have a good close look at it from initial impressions on the first night out, and see what we think. So come along, let's see what's in the bag. So we've emptied the bag, let's see what was in there. First thing we have is the body of the tent, and it looks like a really nice footprint. It's going to be very comfortable. It is a 4-person tent, so you would expect it to be a little larger. We have the rain fly, 4 tent poles, and if you can see, these poles actually are color-coded, and those match up with sleeves in the tent body. The tent itself is a combination of sleeves and clips. We also have a pile of aluminum tent pegs. They're a little bit larger diameter than come with some of the cheaper tents, but we'll see. But I expect I'll be replacing those. We have a series of guy lines, different sizes that go at different parts of the tents. We also have 2 additional poles that actually create an awning out the front door when you're not needing the rain fly for rain protection. So we're going to set that up, see how that looks. And we also have a little tube of seam sealer. Snow Peak said that there were certain seams on the tent that due to the manufacturing process couldn't be taped. So they tell you where to apply the seam sealer when you first set the tent up so that it's good to go. So it's a one-time only deal, shouldn't be too hard. So let's get the tent set up. There seems to be a particular order that you put this tent together with. The first thing that goes in is a ridge pole, and as you can see, blue goes with blue. So we slide that in, and this is a nice big sleeve. I know sometimes these things can be kind of a pain to run the poles through, but that was very easy. Then you have the 2 side poles. Now you will notice that there are blue dots on the poles, if you can see that. Those go to the outside, so just make sure those are on the outside. So you slip this pole through, and it says make sure it's all the way through like that. You do that on both sides. Okay, once you get the ridge pole in, you simply finish putting together the side poles, and those clamp into these nice stout metal corner clips. So these just fit inside the pole like so. And again, I like the fact that they're metal. They're not going to break when you put it together. So we're going to do that on all 4 sides. All right, and there are the first ones. And as you can see, once we get it pulled out and squared up, it's going to sit quite high. So I'm looking forward to that. Next thing we need to do is to put in the front pole. And here's why you always need to read the instructions. I did forget there are 2 rings that you clip over the end of that pole before you put on the front pole. So we do that on both sides. And it does have tensioners, so you can tighten that up. So let's get that tight and get the other pole in. All right, now that we have those connected, now we take the red pole into the red sleeve. Just push this through. Kind of center that. And there are 2 more of the pole clips on the side of the tent here that these connect into. So as complex as this sounded like it might be, this is actually pretty darn easy to set up. And the body of your tent is good to go. There is now a Velcro strap that you will use at this intersection to connect those two poles to make sure that they're snug. So make sure you do that. And then you attach the clips. Okay, this is what the tent looks like once it's set up without the rain fly on. And one of the cool features of this tent is there's actually 4 doors. So there's your big main front door. You also have a door on either side that you can come and go from. You have main vent panels up here. And then you also have another large back door. So very easy to get in and out of this thing. If you want to sneak out at night and do whatever you need to do at night, you can do that without interrupting the other people in the tent. So I think that's a great feature. At this point, there are some of the areas that need to be sealed, so we're going to go ahead and put the seam sealer on them before we put the rain fly on. We're getting ready to put the fly on, and after a moment of confusion as to what the front and the back was, we have that figured out. But here's where it becomes a 2-person job according to the instructions. Up to this point, I was able to put this tent together by myself with no real problem at all. Now it says that 2 people should fold the fly over top of the tent, that it's not really a 1-person job. So we're gonna go ahead and assume that anybody that's doing this with this tent will have other people camping with them, so we'll have help. So let's get this thrown up over the tent and then we'll come back. All right, I really do think that 1 person could have done that. It was easier with 2. Now there are some points up under the tent where you are asked to go ahead and connect some Velcro to the poles to keep it from flopping around. So I'm just unzipping the front, and I'm going to look for those spots to put that Velcro in place before we stake everything down. All right, well, once I discovered that there's one behind each one of these guy wire joints, it made it much easier to find them. So a little bit of a learning curve here, but not too bad. So there's 2 in the front, kind of 2 behind that in the middle, and 2 in the back. So we're staking down the tent now. You might have noticed that there's a tree beside us. Before there wasn't a tree. We've picked this tent up and moved it because there's a feature that we want to show you that I think is a really neat feature. It's not a new feature in tents, but it's one you don't see very often on tents like this. So I want to show you that, and there's a real innovation that I'm excited to try that I'm going to show you, so wait for that one as well. And here is the first neat aspect of this tent I wanted to show you, the awning. Now you may have seen awnings like that on spring bar tents, but this is the first non-canvas type tent that I've seen that has this. And I really think that it's awesome. I'm looking forward to having shade when it's hot out, sit in. Kind of you can stand up to get into the tent, which I'm really excited about. I don't have to get on my hands and knees. It does sag a little bit. I'm going to chalk that up initially as first time setup. We haven't had a chance to work on it. But now, let me show you the thing that I really am excited about. So if you buy just the tent, that's what you get, everything that you see so far. All the guy lines, tensioners, poles, fly, body, just what you'd think. And this tent is actually made quite well. You've seen the metal in the pole connectors. The floor is 300D, which is about twice as thick as I've seen some competitor tents. So it's a very robust tent. It's built very well. One of the negative aspects of a ground tent that people don't like is the fact that, well, you're on the ground. Sometimes the ground is not the most forgiving area to be on. If you're on rocky terrain, if there are roots around like there are here, sometimes even crawling around the inside of the tent is hard on your knees and stuff. So if you're in one of the low to the ground tents, you're crawling in and out. your knees can take a beating, your palms, whatever. You don't want to lay on the ground, so you have your sleeping mat. Check this out. Since this is a base camp tent, and this is not a backpacking tent, we got the Alpha Breeze set. I think that's what it is. I'm going to link all this below. I'm also going to put all the vitals, weight, and all that below. But when you buy the set, and not just the tent, you get this as well. So the first thing you get is the ground cloth. I always like to have a ground cloth with my tents just to keep the floor, even that robust of a floor, away from the ground. Now Snow Peak, I do wish you sold this separately. What you also get, and here's what I'm excited about, is you get a mattress, a plush, I hope, a plush mattress that goes inside the tent. And I'm excited because when I crawl through this tent, I'm not going to feel every rock and root. So let's put this in and see what it feels like. And there you have a tent. I think I have to spin it. I think I've got it in sideways, but this now is a bit of cushion against you in the ground. I wouldn't say I want to sleep on this. It's got a plasticky feel. What's the other side? Maybe less plasticky? I'll have to confer with camera lady, see which side she wants up. But I'm not feeling anything under the tent. So this, my friends, is an awesome feature and makes this, I think, going to be an extremely comfortable sleep tonight. In the morning, we'll let you know what we think, but at this point, I like this. So I was correct in my assumption, and camera lady, being the genius that she is, read the instructions, and the tent is not perfectly square. The sides are slightly longer, so we rotated the cushion and it is fitting perfectly. So I wanted to give you a quick rundown of the inside of the tent. There are 4 doors, and each one of the doors has an inner curtain as well as a mesh. Both can be unzipped at the same time, or you can fold back the inner curtain. And the inner curtain has a kind of unique feature, or these zippers are kind of unique. You can see there's 2 tracks of zippers. So the inner curtain unzips with the inner track and the entire door, as well as just the mesh with the lower tracks. So that's a neat little feature. Lots and lots of ventilation in this tent when you open all 4 corners, or all 4 sides, I should say. So this thing, I think, is going to sleep very comfortably. It's one thing that's kind of got me perplexed, is that you have pouches here on both sides in the front, 1 pouch in the back corner, but there's not a pouch in this corner. I'm not sure why they decided to only put 3 pouches in a 4-person tent. I think they could have put another pouch in here easy enough and made it so that everybody had their own. But, maybe they'll chime in and let me know. Each one of the vents at the top, you can close or open as normally in a tent, depending on how cold it is or warm, if you want the ventilation or not. Another feature that I've noticed that I really like is that if you've ever had a tent with this D-shaped door, you know that down here in the corner, when you're trying to unzip it, it always seems to bind up and bunch up, and you have to get another hand, pull it out, and unzip it. Watch this. Well done, Snow Peak. This unzips without bunching up in the corner. Really like that. First night is done. Coffee is made. What do I think? So I think, honestly, this is a very, very nice tent. I slept really well. It's got a ton of room in it. Normally when I get up in the morning after sleeping in a tent, my back is really stiff and it takes a while for the kinks to come out. Didn't do that this morning. Now, maybe that's just because it's first night marital bliss, I don't know, but my back didn't hurt this morning and I got to stand up when I put my clothes on. Both of those are great things. I thought maybe that getting that mat folded up, and it is a mat, it's not a mattress, so it's not that thick, just so you know, would be kind of a chore. It wasn't. It was very easy to fold up and get into the bags, no problem there. So overall, very roomy, comfortable tent. All kinds of ventilation. Now, is it perfect? No, nothing is. Here's a couple thoughts, Snow Peak. First off, when you have the tarp out, right now we have 4 guy lines before you get into the tent. And if it was wet weather or anything like that, you attach another guy line in the front and you can pull that down and drain water. So that would be 5 guy lines in the front of the tent. You've got mounting points on the side, so you have 4 more guy lines on the side if the weather's bad and 1 in the back. So that makes a total of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guy lines. Well, why don't you make those reflective? Because if you're walking around at night, it's very easy to trip on these things. Make those reflective. Here's another thing. Zippers. Right now you have these nice little red pulls, and they're very easy to see. They kind of stand out in the daytime, but at nighttime that's meaningless. Why don't you put on a glow-in-the-dark zipper pull? It would be very easy and it would save a lot of time fumbling around at night without having to put a flashlight on in the tent or something like that. It would just be very easy. Now how would this perform in inclement weather, rain or wind? I don't know. We haven't done that yet. It was nice weather last night, little dew, nothing to speak of. It is Snow Peak. I expect it would perform well, but I'm not going to tell you it does because I don't know. So we're going to keep testing this. I'll come back to you and let you know what I think of it after using it for a while, and how it handles rain and wind and that sort of thing. But so far, I think this thing is a great tent for a young family that's wanting to go out and camp, grandparents with grandkids, 2 adults. It's absolutely a palace. And so I think it has that kind of vibe for someone that's base camping, going out for the weekend, wants to be in comfort. It's not going to be good for point and shoot overlanders, certainly not a backpacking tent. I don't want to put this up and down every day. I'm curious to see how easy it is to fold up and get back in that bag. Normally I'm a stuffer of tents, so I just jam them in there. I don't roll them up. This one, I don't think we're going to be able to do that given the bag is not a stuff sack, it's a bag. So I'm curious to see how that goes. I'll let you know at the end of the video how that went. But overall, this is a fantastic tent. It's expensive, but it's not real expensive in my mind for a tent. It's certainly for the size of the tent and the fact that it has an awning. The competition tends to be canvas tents. They're much more expensive and depending on the brand can be hard to find. So I think it's a bargain for a tent of this size with the awning and kind of this setup. I'm going to put a link to this below on Snow Peak's website. Again, you can buy the tent just as it sits, or you can add the mat and the footprint, which I strongly recommend. I think they really help make this tent special. And yeah, let's get this thing packed up. We got it in. It was much easier than I expected. Kind of like everything with this tent so far. Expectations versus reality. Everything's set up easier, took down easier. Did take a little cajoling to get it in the bag, but you know, that's to be expected. So overall, first impressions, first day, really happy with this Snow Peak tent. We think it's a great tent. So I hope you enjoyed learning more about the Alpha Breeze from Snow Peak. If you like this content, please take a moment to hit that sub button in the lower right-hand corner. Share it with your like-minded friends. Give us a thumbs up. And as always, we'd love to hear what you have to say about it, so give us a comment. And take care. We'll see you outdoors.